Welcome to Hope Natural Health, the podcast inspiring you to be your best version. Join me, your host, Dr. Erin, naturopathic doctor, dog mom, cancer survivor, and girl boss weekly as we discuss all things health, hormones, and happiness with a little side of this thing called life. Welcome back to the show. Last week and the week prior, I had a two-part series on common PMS symptoms. So if you missed that, take a listen. But this week, we have a brand new episode with a special guest, Kerry Jenkins. She is a certified physician assistant in Florida. Kerry graduated from Nova Southeastern University in 2000 and received her master's in physician assistant studies from the University of Nebraska in 2007. Kerry has been practicing medical and aesthetic dermatology for the past 22 years. She discovered functional integrative medicine and has passionately been pursuing education in this realm. Her education includes the School of Applied Functional Medicine, Kharrazian Institute, I hope I said that right, and also becoming certified through the prestigious Institute of Functional Medicine. Kerry believes every patient has a story, and through story sharing, we gather details to map out the history and implement a plan for true healing. When she's not working, she is a mom to two ambitious girls and enjoys ballroom dancing, hand lettering, and being outdoors in nature. So I'm super excited to welcome Kerry to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Erin. It's so exciting to be here and be able to chat with you today.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to this conversation. But first, when I was reading this, what is hand lettering?
Oh, it's just a fancy name for calligraphy.
Oh, okay. My mom does that, and she loves it.
I find it to be relaxing, actually, after a stressful day, to be able to sit down and just practice lettering. It's therapeutic, very, very, very nice use of downtime.
Awesome. Well, today we're going to focus a little bit on nutrition, diet, and why that is so important to our overall health. I probably can speak till I'm blue in the face, but it's always nice to hear it from other practitioners. But first, tell me a little bit more about your background and how you got into, your passion for nutrition and its ability to help with health.
Yeah, so straight out of PA school, I landed in the dermatology world and practiced dermatology, like you said, for many, many years. And my youngest daughter actually was the one that gave me this opportunity to investigate different types of medicine. She started developing digestive problems around the age of 13. And I just had a really sneaking suspicion that if I took her to the pediatrician, they would scope her from the top, scope her from the bottom, maybe do some imaging studies, give her a label, maybe call her, she has IBS, recommend some medications. And I just felt in my gut that that wasn't going to get me any further along in her becoming better. So it allowed me this amazing opportunity to do some online research. And, I opened up this rabbit hole and found integrative and functional medicine. And once you see different means of practicing medicine, it's not like you can just unsee that. So nutrition really kind of fell in my lap. And when I realized the power that food truly holds for an individual's well-being or overall health and wellness, it was a game changer for me.
That's so cool. Awesome. And it's crazy. Usually we take these pivots in life due to some either personal health story or someone close to us or just, it could be just a passion. But usually we always have some sort of background or something happened to us that triggers it. So that's so awesome. So let's dive right in and talk really about nutrition and how important is nutrition in reversing disease?
In my humble opinion, it is everything. I tell my patients and clients that I work with that food is medicine. And, a lot of them kind of scratch their heads and look at me and they're like, what does that really mean, Kerry? And it all comes down to if we can provide the basic nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, the cofactors, the enzymes that our body requires to function optimally. When we think about that, where is that coming from? It's coming from our food. And if we're not providing the basic building blocks for our immune system, for our neurotransmitters, for any process in our body to work, it's no wonder that so many people are struggling with their health on so many levels. It's because what they're eating and what they call food isn't really food, right? That's where, you and I could go on, like you said, for days talking about what is nutrition, what isn't nutrition. And, the standard American diet is falling woefully flat as far as nutrition, intaking nutrition on a daily basis.
So I remember this happened to me in my whole medical history before I went to medical school. I just didn't know. So we don't know what we don't know. So, and a lot of it can be from, our upbringing or maybe someone influencing, like, now that I know, I teach other people, and same with you. But for those that are brand new to this, they oftentimes think what they're eating is healthy because it's labeled, in a certain way. And that's the whole marketing whole thing with that. But how do you recommend we as a society, start opening our eyes to this and actually realizing that the standard American diet is really crap and the fast food is crap? And I feel like we're beating our heads against the wall sometimes. So how can we as a society do better and really understand that what we feed ourselves truly is medicine?
Yeah, I think the bottom line, and this is what I try to relay, is that we need to step back and slow down. Our society is so fast-paced and moves at the speed of light, and we are expected in our culture to go and do and achieve more and do better and have it be faster and stronger and harder. And it is a forward-feeding, vicious sympathetic nervous system loop that we get into. And when we stay in that space, we are not digesting the food that we eat. We're not even talking about, is it good food, is it not good food? But when we live in that crazy fast-paced world, we're not even digesting. So to even back up more than that, we need to really take a look at, what did our ancestors eat? What we're consuming on a day-to-day basis in our society, our ancestors would not even be able to identify. They would look at that and say, I can't pronounce that word. I don't know what that is. And we have to think that our bodies are the same way. Genealogically, back to cavemen days, our genetics are designed to eat real, whole, nutrient-dense foods. And the standard American diet is full of these fast foods and these convenience foods and these processed foods and these junk foods with these ingredients. And our bodies take that in and it says, what is this? Is this a toxin? Is this a nutrient? I don't even know what this is. So how am I going to process that? So I think really just getting people to zoom out, slow down, and go back to the basics and just think about, what did your grandparents eat? How did they get their food? What did their meals look like? And that's really where we need to get back to. That's my that's my main takeaway with starting with patients. Because our idea of what our breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinners look like right now are completely twisted.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even that, even if you don't go back, I mean, going back in time is good too, but even just simple looking at labels and not believing everything that you see on the label. And I always bring this up as, sugar. Sugar is a good example. Like, even though it's labeled sugar-free, I'm like, it's false. I'm like, look at what the fake sugar is the number one ingredient. I'm like, that's even worse for you than having your cane sugar. So being, and if you don't know a word, Google it. I mean, there are some words that we might not be able to pronounce that are actually okay for us, but the more you know, right? So if you don't know what it is, Google it. We all have our phones with us, and back then they didn't have any of that. So you can, be your own advocate and be like, what is this? Do I really want to put this ingredient in my body? I don't even know what it is. So I'm always reading labels. I'm a crazy label reader, but I learned so much from it, and I didn't know any of that. I was like, oh, this looks healthy. I'm going to pick this off the shelf. Looks good to me. I'm going to eat it. Little did I know. So on the flip side of that, there's a lot of these, what I like to call fad diets, because I'm not a huge fan of really any diet, but can you explain from your education, your expertise, like why these diets or why don't diets specifically work, and how can just going back to the basics really be the key in health and even weight loss and overall longevity?
Yeah, so these fad diets, it's what's the new diet of the month, right? Like now everybody's talking about carnivore and not eating any plants and just having meat. And, not that there isn't a time and a place for many of these diets, these therapeutic nutrition plans, because there is for certain instances and certain circumstances and individuals, therapeutic diets do have a place. But when it comes to the general public, just trying to digest the plethora of information that is out there and trying to pick, well, maybe I should be paleo, or maybe I should try keto, or maybe I should eat a Mediterranean diet. Like, the reason I think so many people struggle with implementing those types of restrictive eating plans is because they're not sustainable, right? These fad diets are recommending cutting out entire macronutrient categories. Like, don't eat carbohydrates. If you're going keto, that means you're eating very, very low carbohydrate, right? And when you start eliminating macronutrient categories, that's a problem. Your body needs complex carbohydrates to be able to store glycogen in the liver, so that when you're sleeping, your cells can still do the rejuvenating processes that they're supposed to be doing. So when we start eliminating these major categories of food, and when we start restricting so much, it's really just not sustainable for people. And they feel so restricted that it makes them want to cheat, and they can't stay on it for more than 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. And then when they get off the diet because they've realized they've had enough and they can't continue on, then they binge. And now we're in this whole vicious cycle of, we lost 14 pounds and we just put 27 back on, right? And that's where the chaos just continuously goes and goes and goes.
I literally have this conversation every day. So if you're a patient of mine listening to this, I'm not I'm not alone here when I say that. I say that all the time because people are like, well, what do you think about this? And you're right. There is a time and a place for some of these diets. There is a time and a place for keto. If you want to experiment with things every once in a while, but you can, in my opinion, if you wanted to follow a certain way of eating, you can still do that and have it make it adaptable for your body and what your goals are, and not be so restrictive. So that's my big thing with these diets, is they're so restrictive, and especially for women, we can't, it's not good for our mental state to do that. And especially when we're trying to honor hormones, and we menstruating women, we go through a time of the month where we might want a carbohydrate, and we need the carbohydrate. So please eat the carbohydrate. Even with fasting, that's another big one. And I recommend that every once in a while, per certain cases, but it's not healthy for our female body to fast for that many hours over time. And then you shorten the window of eating, and then you're not eating enough, and then you're under eating, and then you're actually going to gain weight. And it's trying to understand, and most of these diets too, and you'll probably agree, they've been studied on men. They're not studied on women, and unfortunately, women are not tiny men. So it's further setting us up for failure, because it's not probably going to work, for us like it would for men. So thank you for touching on that subject, because yeah, you're right. Carnivore is probably a hot one now, but I always laugh. I'm like, okay, so what's next? What's the next one going to be? But yeah, so on the flip side of diet, we've got exercise. So when it comes to, overall longevity, reversing disease, I can speak till I'm blue in the face. So why is it important for us to move our body?
There's so many reasons, but, I think the top 3 to 4 are, our bodies are designed to move. That's how nature created the human race, is to move consistently. But, exercise releases these amazing chemicals in our brain called endorphins. And our body thrives on that, right? So if we
Mm-hmm.
live a sedentary lifestyle, we are not generating those endorphins in our body. And if that continues on chronically, day over day, week over week, it can lead to, depression and isolation and all kinds of bad things. The other thing that exercising does is it allows us to burn off our neurotransmitters that drive like anxiety and,
Mm-hmm.
all the mental chatter that is going on constantly in our brain. Like really exercising your body burns all that off.
Mm-hmm.
And then it allows you to sleep well, right? And restore your body. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great for mood. It helps your brain. It helps you sleep. And
Mm-hmm.
really, the grand order of design intended our bodies to be moving every single day. Sedentary lifestyles are really just as harmful as smoking, right? It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
not how our body was meant to live.
Right. And when we say exercise, we don't mean like going to run a 5K or a high intensity workout. It could literally be taking a walk around the block. Like it's just moving your body. And I tell a lot of my women who are burnt out, stressed out, exhausted, I'm like, I don't want you doing that high intensity exercise. I really just want you to go walk. It's the best thing that you can do for your mental state, for your adrenal function, get a little vitamin D, wake yourself up. It's amazing. So yeah, you don't need to go buy a trainer, hire a trainer, do all of the crazy things. It could literally be walk. It could be stretching. It could be, a light yoga thing. You can find whatever you want on YouTube and do something gentle at home. So don't think you have to make it this big production unless you want to, then by all means. But I know that I've never regretted a workout I went to. And I think anyone could probably attest for that. It's like, well, it takes a lot of motivation and energy to get yourself to the gym. But once I'm there, I'm like, okay, this is why I went. This is why I'm glad I'm here, because I always feel better. And that's why. Plus, for the long-term effects of cardiovascular function and, reversing some things, it's exercise is awesome. I tell women with weight loss, there's 3 factors in weight loss. There's your diet, what you're eating, how much you're eating, exercise, how you're moving your body, and then what do your hormones look like? So we've got to balance all 3 of those things to really have, successful weight loss. What else about nutrition did you want to touch on?
Really that going back to basics and getting in our kitchen and enjoying the process of cooking, right? The process of meal creation, including family in that process, allowing, not little children, but preteens, let them get involved with washing and maybe chopping vegetables, having it be family time to talk about your day and just sharing and just involving the whole family in the process of creating your meals, I think is so incredibly important. And again, with our fast-paced, rushed, our kids are overscheduled. We've got to get them to soccer. Girl has to get to dance. Like we just don't take the time to do that as much as we used to. And I think dialing it way back, simplifying it, and really getting back into the kitchen, planning meals, doing meal prep, and involving the entire family really goes a long way to not only nourishing our bodies, but nourishing our families.
Yeah, for sure. Touch a little bit more on making the time, because I get that a lot is, well, I'm just so busy. So it's usually a grab and go, or I have time to feed the kids, but I don't have time to feed myself. So how can we, and it doesn't have to be, you don't have to start with 7 days out of the week. So my thoughts are, maybe starting with making a commitment to 2 days a week, and then maybe it'll start into a habit. But what do you recommend for those moms that are like, I have no idea where I would fit that into my schedule?
Yeah, it's not easy. It definitely isn't easy. And I think we need to honor their struggle because their struggle is real. These moms have full-time jobs. They're maintaining a home. There's pets. There's kids with, extracurricular activities and homework. And, they may have aging parents on the side as well. So there's a lot to manage. But what I like to get my clients to understand is that the weekends were designed for us to restore our bodies. And with that, comes rest.
Mm-hmm.
And sitting down to maybe creating a meal plan for what
Mm-hmm.
your week is going to look like. What types of meals would you like to serve for
Mm-hmm.
dinner throughout the week? And then when you have that meal plan, you can shop,
Mm-hmm.
or you can have your groceries delivered, use Instacart to save you time. And then you can meal prep, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
can meal prep 1 or 2 meals for a week and maybe even double that recipe so that you can freeze half of what you create, so that maybe 2 weeks down the road, you don't need to meal prep 2 entire meals because you've got 1 or 2 that are in the freezer from a few weeks before. So this is
Mm-hmm.
where getting creative and actually planning can make all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. I love that. That's what I recommend too. It's like, well, take some time on the weekend. And a lot of times we're catching up on life, which is fine to an extent. But yes, we do need to restore, or you're going to be one of the burnt out moms if you're not already burnt out, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Amen.
therefore
Yes.
impacting your health, impacting your sleep, etc. So think of the whole domino effect that, those little changes could have on your health. So we could
And
probably,
something
go ahead. Go ahead.
something else that's really important is, when you fly on an airline, they always tell you if anything crazy happens, put your oxygen mask on first, right?
Yep.
And then you can help the people around you. And as a busy mom,
Mm-hmm.
I hear it all the time too. I have time to take care of the kids, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have time to make myself my meal. Well, you know what? It's time you start prioritizing yourself as the mom so that you
Yeah.
can take good care of your family. And I think women, for whatever reason, are so quick to deprioritize themselves to care for everybody else. And we need to get it back into conversations that we are the center of our families. And if we don't take care of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, nutritionally, what good are we for our families?
Yep. So true. Yep. I hear that often too. So thank you for sharing that. What would be, well, we'll wrap it up here. We'll talk about this online program that you have coming up, but this is a question I ask all of my podcast guests. So what would be your best or favorite health tip that you can share with the audience?
Oh my goodness. One of my favorite things that I love to talk about is honoring the natural circadian rhythm of life. So it's not often talked about. It's very glorified, but just keeping consistent circadian rhythms, waking up at or about the same time every single day, going to bed at or about the same time every day, having your workouts be at or about the same time consistently, planning your meals at or about the same time every single day, really allows, from a physiological standpoint, your body to know that it's safe, and then it can understand what is coming. And I think that in our busy, hectic, go lives, where, our routines are so out of balance with the natural circadian rhythm of the sun, daytime and nighttime, that it just is very disruptive to us females, especially with our hormones and our cyclical rhythms, that females are supposed to cycle and do all of these very intricate, rhythmic type of things. And, I'm not saying that you need to live life like a grandma and always go to bed at 9:30 and always wake up at 7:30. You're allowed to live your life and have fun on the weekends, but try to really honor your body. If you're feeling tired at the end of a long day, go to bed.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't need to watch that extra episode of Orange is the New Black on Netflix, right? It will be there the next day. So I really just try to get people to understand that, daytime and nighttime, the circadian rhythms that our body is used to following from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, our bodies, even though we have Netflix and we have artificial light and we have computers and tablets and cell phones, even though we have all these amazing technological, amazing devices, that's not how our body was designed to thrive optimally, right? And we wonder why our rhythms are so messed up and we have insomnia and all of these other crazy things. We just need to get back to our basic biological rhythms.
So true. Easy as that, right?
Easy as that.
Easy as that. Go back to the basics. Well, Kerry, it was so wonderful having you on the show. We could probably talk for hours about this topic, but we'll wrap it up. You do have a new online program with women, specifically with PCOS. So I advocate a lot around PCOS, and your new program will create a community of like-minded health-seeking women who are willing to do the work to reverse their PCOS without using medication. I love that. So we will share the information about that in the podcast. You can follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Whispering Wisdom to You for all the details and get on their early interest list. So that's pretty exciting. Thank you for advocating for that and providing more education around that condition. But again, if there's anything else that you want to add, feel free. But it was wonderful having you here today.
It was so much fun speaking with you. I really enjoyed it. And I hope your audience has the opportunity to take maybe just one little nugget away and be able to implement that in their life.
Absolutely. I know I took a nugget away. I love the whole circadian rhythm thing and giving yourself grace for that and making sure things are consistent. So thank you for sharing, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much. You as well.
Thank you. We'll see you all next week.